Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, Wife Cheats on Her Husband, Abuses Their Children and Lies on Court. Enjoy not having your kids anymore. For the cast we have Mom, Empty Human, S, Sister, me, and my dad. I have no concrete dialogue for this story since it happened about 4 years ago, and I pretty much want to forget about it. Now, some background. My mother is not exactly the best person in the world. She used to abuse me and S both physically and mentally, mostly mentally, avoid responsibilities at home, and she also decided to cheat on my dad with several men around 13 years ago, and never stopped. When my father discovered this, he simply stopped sleeping in the same room and stopped being affectionate towards her. He stayed with her for us, S and I, and decided to raise us basically alone since Mom was always outside with her partners. My mother used to simply arrive home to eat, sleep, and hurt me or my S. The rest of the day she claimed to be working overtime. However, all the money she made was kept away for herself, and my father had to do real overtime to take care of us, and he was tired of not getting any help. Here is where my dad's revenge plan starts. He stayed quiet for a long time, managing work and parenting very well, but in the meantime, he was collecting all the evidence he could about my mom cheating as well as evidence of abuse towards S and I, and he also kept supporting us, teaching us how to stand up for ourselves and each other, helping us understand how bad Mom's behavior was and we don't need to justify her bad treatment just for being out mother. He kept being the best person he could for about 10 years until S and I were old enough to testify in court. Then he immediately asked for divorce and got it very easily since Mom kept lying about how he was abusing me and my children, but, of course, he had proof of her cheating and being the abuser, so they got divorced. But the plan didn't end there, since he wanted us to live with him. My dad left our house immediately after the divorce and 2 weeks later I moved with him. My sister stayed with Mom. Let's skip some months until the court date to discuss the kids' custody. About 6 months prior, my mother lied about me living with her so she could get that sweet child support check asterisk. But when the court date arrived, S and me testified against her, explained how bad of a mother she was, etc. And I said that I have been living with my dad for months, contrary to what my mother has said. Of course, she wanted to play the victim with lies, which we refuted. The judge was not having it, and told her that she needed to stop lying because she was being fined for lying to a judicial authority. Of course, she lost our custody, and she was forced to return the child support money to us. Now she lives alone and sometimes tries to play the "forgive me, I know I did wrong" card with us only to ask for money right after, but none of us want to see her again. Not exactly a massive, sweet and evil revenge, but after I told my dad about this sub, he told me I should post the story. I hope it actually belongs here. Asterisk the child support thing. In my country, when parents divorce, it's the other parent who gives the money to the one with custody of the children. We call that money child support. But in this case where both parents have only one child at their care, they get nothing from each other. My mom said she had both of us to get money from my dad, but that was a lie. The next one is titled, Wife is with AP at hotel right now. Should I show up tomorrow morning at breakfast? I know for a fact my wife is right now in bed with her AP at a fancy hotel. It's 11 p.m. where I am. Background: I discovered her affair in January. She then kept denying that the affair continued after I found out and begs me to give her another chance. I always told her I know she is continuing to see him, but she strenuously denies and swears she has nothing to do with him anymore. I demanded separation in February, and we signed an amicable separation agreement last week. Yet to be validated by the court. But even now she says she loves me and wants me to give our relationship another chance. I told her I don't believe her sincerity, that she lied to me way too many times, and I can't trust her anymore. Yesterday she told me she needed to unplug and would go with a female friend of hers at a hotel for one night. I know this is a lie and that she's ducking her AP at this exact moment. I know which hotel she's staying at, and it's not the one she said she would go to. Question. I am very tempted to head over to the hotel tomorrow morning to have breakfast there, only to see the two of them show up nice and chilled after their morning sex. Should I see them, and should they see me, I would simply wave at them, smile, and continue sipping my orange juice while going back to reading the morning papers. One serious side of me tells me I'm being childish and should just move on. Another childish side of me thinks that, after all this suffering and agony, I should not deny myself this little coup de theater and enjoy the amusing sight of the deer caught in the headlights. What would you do if you were me? I'll go to sleep now and in 8 hours we'll check if there are any replies. Edit. Prevailing consensus is I should go for it. So be it. I'll head to the hotel in a cab. I first need to drop the kids in school, kiss them on their foreheads and wish them a good day the way a good dad does. So, I won't be able to be at the breakfast table very soon. Hopefully they are not breakfast early birds. But the real question is, will they order room service? All variables considered, I estimate a 40 to 50% probability that I will see them. So yeah, let fate decide how this goes. Update. So, this morning when I woke up, I wrote that I would head over to the hotel and I gave myself a 40 to 50% probability that things would pan out as planned. My big question mark was whether they would take room service. I wrote, let fate decide how this goes. Turns out fate played this out in a weird and sort of interesting way. I dropped off the kids at school and managed to reach the hotel at 8:15. Room pretty much empty, so I chose an ideal spot, with a view on the entrance and table placed right between the two big rooms that comprise all the interior seating. Perfect view of outside seating as well. I brought along a big wide newspaper and plugged a hole in the center, so that when the two would show up I would put the newspaper in front of my face and would still be able to see where they would sit. Took my pan-o chocolate, 4 of them, actually, a succulent chocolate muffin and a slice of banana cake. Orange juice as promised, and cappuccino de rigueur. I truly felt like a cop in a Hollywood movie, first time I ever did this. Checked wife's WhatsApp to see the last seen time. Yes, she's awake. Of course, she's awake, dude. They're ducking. Just wait patiently. Long story short, I waited 245 hours. Average heart rate 160. Had to go take a piss at a certain point, but no way I was going to leave my guard post. At 11 breakfast time ended and the two didn't show up. What a bummer. Apparently, they did opt for room service after all. Not my lucky day, I guess. Or maybe I got it all wrong and she really is with her female friend at that other hotel? Now doubt inevitably starts to creep in. So, I go take my overdue piss, put the carved out newspaper under my arm and despondently head for the exit, without forgetting to pay the equivalent of $40 for my luxurious breakfast. But wait, I did have a plan B before leaving my house this morning. I picked up wife's passport. So, I headed to reception and told the guy that I was asked by Mr. last name of AP, to bring him this passport I have here in my hand. Asked him to please look him up. The guy fumbles for some time, asks me app's first name, which luckily, I know, but still no joy. Just when I was about to tell him, maybe it's under another name, and was about to give him my wife's last name, reception guy tells me, oh, they're leaving right now, see? And points right behind me. I turn around and, lo and behold, there's my wife standing at the exit, just 5 meters from me. She's alone though and waiting for the valet to bring her car over. She's looking away. I wonder if she saw me. Damn. I'm so close, and I was even talking out loud to the receptionist a moment ago. But she keeps looking in another direction. I look at her. I want to vomit. Car arrives. She leaves. I had a grand total of like 2 seconds to decide whether to say hi to her and see her reaction. AP wasn't there though. Alas, no coup de theater. I stayed silent. I told myself there's time to tell her later today. Now I was just curious to see her behavior once we both got back home. Just in case you're wondering. When I got home, she was all loving and hugging and told me she thought a lot about the two of us and wants to change her life radically. But I did get the final confirmation I was seeking, i.e., that all her promises that she still loves me, that she removed AP from her life, and that she wants to restart our relationship, were just a big mound of stinking BS. Wife slept in a room that was under the name of AP. That's all I needed to know. I came back home, have been way colder than usual. During the past almost 4 months while we negotiated the amicable separation, we continued to live under the same roof. Didn't tell the kids yet. I guess in the depths of my agony I was still hoping to somehow believe her when she told me she was serious about restarting. I guess deep inside maybe I was nurturing this crazy fantasy that all this is just a bad dream. And that one day I would wake up and life would go back to how it was before D-Day. And I could and would love her intensely like I did in those photographs of the past 16 years that Google Photos, this day X years ago, keeps pinging me day in and day out. Those photos that I devour while I cry alone every night in my bed in the guest room, because I suppose I enjoy suffering. I know, it's stupid, but I'm sure many of you guys know how intense pain clouds perception and sound judgment. I told wife that in 2 days we will go live in separate houses. All has already been pre-regulated in our separation agreement. Either one of us has the right to request this anytime. Tomorrow we inform the kids. A new life begins. The time has come to pull the plug in earnest. The sick tooth has been dangling lifeless in my mouth for a long time because I was afraid of the pain of pulling it out. Now is the time to extirpate it once and for all. While I was writing this, wife popped in and said she wants to talk. This will be the right moment, I think, to tell her I was standing right behind her this morning. Or maybe I should just tell her nothing and let her wonder why I took all these big decisions all of a sudden. Not sure, really. I guess I'll just play it by ear. Yes, I know this is the most stupid possible way of going about it. But I guess I just don't give a crap at this point. The next one is titled, Married for 19 years before my wife cheated on me. This is my first time on Reddit. I'll be 75 this July and I've seen a lot of things. I wanted to share my story with the younger generation before I die, quite frankly. I have lung cancer and I don't expect to be around much longer, so this information needs to get out there. I got married when I was 18 in 1964. It feels like I'm not even the same person anymore. I used to be in good physical shape, and now I'm stuck in a wheelchair. My wife and I both had to work full-time since I didn't have the income to support both of us. I worked in construction and she cleaned hotel rooms. We never had any kids, and we still had time to ourselves on the weekends. I don't think we ever argued, but this was so long ago I'm losing details. Though, and we didn't have any issues getting along. Over the years I started to make more money and she was able to quit her job and stay at home. I would work longer nights though, and our marriage turned more into friendship, honestly. We rarely had sex, and although I still loved her, I felt like it was different. We didn't spend enough time together towards the end. I take the blame for leading us down the wrong road with my job. As you will read later on, this wasn't the only issue, but still I should have addressed this situation while I still could have. One night I get back from work and at first everything seems normal. Dinner was ready and we had the TV set to baseball, my favorite back in the day. I talked to her in the kitchen for a little and went to my room to change out of my work clothes. When I went in there, I found a box of condoms on my nightstand. I started to panic because I had a vasectomy years before this and never used condoms. I immediately asked my wife about them and she couldn't think of an explanation in time. She started crying and came clean about the cheating. She invited her friend from work over for sex while I was out and apparently forgot to get rid of the condoms. I'm not ashamed to admit I was crying as well after hearing that. I tried to find out why she did this and she said she just wasn't attracted to me, was lonely, and never enjoyed our sex. I didn't know what to say and ended up leaving. We got divorced after 19 years of being married. In my 40s I was a disaster. I lost all confidence and motivation to go on. I started drinking and eventually became an alcoholic. It took me until my 60s to kick this habit. I couldn't look myself in the mirror while thinking I was a failure of a man. I wanted to date again, but I just thought the same would happen again. It never occurred to me that I was bad in bed, and I really didn't have any good answers. My skin started to wrinkle a bit, especially on the back of my legs, but I took pride in maintaining my figure for a while, and when I had sex during our marriage, I swear she enjoyed it. I kept my tough guy appearance through my 30s and would still wear my bandana during sex, which was a turn-on for her. I was generous and always went down on her when she wanted me to. I used cock rings to maintain erections, and I could always orgasm extra hard, which was a fetish of hers. If I tried my best, by definition I couldn't do anything else. As time went by though, I started to think about the idea that at an older age sex wasn't too important, and about 5 years ago I started dating again. We don't have an active sex life, but she assured me that there was nothing wrong with me. I remarried last year, which made me so happy, but unfortunately that's when I got my cancer diagnosis. Since then, I've lost a lot of energy, and my new wife is the only one that keeps me going. We are trying chemo, but the future looks bleak. In my remaining days I want to share some knowledge I've collected over the years to make the world a better place. My mental abilities are also slowly waning, so I need to do this before it's too late. I hope all reading this can learn something from me to make their life better. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support, and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.